Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome in to the Rizzcast podcast. I'm your host, Justin Rizzo. Excited to be joined again by my friend, Jordan Marcotte. If you've been listening to the show this season, you've heard a lot from him, but it's just really enjoyable to kind of get together and talk. And so today we're going to talk about a really, really good topic that we both have a lot of thoughts on. I think it's going to be really encouraging to you guys. But if you don't know who Jordan Marcotte is, amazing musician, singer, coach, speaker. You can check him out on Spotify, and he does speaking at events and kind of soul and heart coaching. And he's just an amazing person to know. But today, we're going to talk about something that, again, we have a lot of thoughts on because we've lived this out. I've been a full-time creative for over 22 years, and Jordan's been a full-time creative for 20 years, I believe it is. Yep. And one of the greatest challenges, I think, as a creative and working with a lot of creatives is to find community as a creative. I coach a lot of worship leaders and singers and musicians around the world, and they join my coaching program because they think that they're getting, coaching, one-on-one coaching, which is great. But really what I lead them to and what keeps them around my world is the community that they find, not just with me, but with each other as worship leaders. And they have this, common thread around their creativity. And so we want to talk today about how to find and build a creative community. And there's 7 things that we're going to talk about that will help you find and build a creative community. So you might be listening to this as a worship pastor at a multi-site campus church, and you have, 50 or 100 singers and musicians around you. I've had experiences, as well as many of my clients, that even in that context of being a part of a mega ministry, when you can feel so alone, because I think sometimes you assume, man, if I just had the big or what, lots of people, you'd have community. Lots of people just, it doesn't mean you're going to have a community. You could be, like ships passing in the night, airplanes in the sky. It's like, maybe I wave at you from my airplane, but I'm over here with my own fear, my own insecurity, my own dreams, my own envy, and I'm going to keep you at an arm's distance, right? There's all kinds of things. You could be at a small church thinking, man, if I just had like, a bigger community. And sometimes it's like, man, there's beauty in the small or the mid-size, if you will, a couple 100-member churches, whatever it is. So how do you find and build community, whether at a large or a small ministry or creatives in general? But we'll be focusing specifically on worship teams, worship leaders. It's a lot of our listener base, but this will apply no matter what your creativity is. If you're a sculptor, painter, dancer, whatever it is. First thing that I think you have to do is start with the purpose behind your creativity, not just searching for people. We all know the verse in Proverbs, without a vision, people perish. If you're just looking for a fellow worship leader who can crush it with you, but their vision is completely different than yours, which again, a lot of times at megachurches, that is the issue. It's like, man, there's so many people. Why do I feel like a ship passing in the night? Well, it's because your vision is to do X, Y, Z. Their vision is to do A, B, C. You guys could not be further apart from each other in the alphabet, right? And your dreams. Maybe there's some crossover, but at the end of the day, they're leaving your creative session, your songwriting session, being like, man, they're just like over here. I ain't over there. I'm over here. I'm probably not going to write with that person anymore. I'm not going to hang out with that person anymore. Coffee with them is a drag, right? So you have to find the vision that matches your vision. Without a vision, people perish, right? We all know that verse. It's massively overquoted. Can you overquote a Bible verse? I don't know, but it's used all the time in the church, right? So don't just start looking for people. Keep your ears and eyes and your heart open for, man, what that person's talking about is jiving with my vision of what I want to do as a songwriter, as a worship leader, as a creative. I want to, begin to team up and to partner with that person. So that's the first thing. Don't just start looking for people like, oh my God, he plays guitar. He must be he's a songwriter, whatever. So how do you find that? You hang out with that person. You buy him a coffee. Like, hey, like what's your dream with your creativity? What's your dream as a worship leader, right? Second thing that will really massively help you is to go where creatives gather. Now, again, if you're at a mega church, this one might be a little easier for you. I work with somebody here in the States that they have it's not even for their worship team, it's for their creatives in their church. And it's so life-giving as they gather together. Now their mission and vision is the church's mission and vision. So there's a natural, thrust in the right direction there, but they have, they bring in the AV guys. They have guys who want to be cinematographers and make movies. They have painters who come in, and they do like one huge production, usually Easter, sometimes Christmas, where all the elements of the arts are brought together. It's not just in the worshiping side of things, but look for, creatives who gather in the songwriting space. If there's a songwriting group you can join, again, justinrizzotraining.com. If you're a songwriter and you want to co-write and team up with other people, 3 hours a month, you're held accountable to songwrite and co-write all on Zoom. And it's, I've had seasons in my songwriting program where, someone from New York, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Singapore were writing together once a month. They found each other. They never would have found like Singapore, Texas, New York couldn't be further from each other. But you need to be where other creatives are. Again, to quote Proverbs 27, iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. So go where creatives gather. If you're at a smaller church, you might look for art collectives or meetups, faith-based initiatives, online things. There's so many things to be a part of. Jordan, you'll talk about this one here, the third thing. So to summarize, first one, start with a purpose, not just people. Second one, go where creatives gather and look for someone who has that vision that you have. And the first one, Jordan, which you're a master at, be the first to invite. Be the first to invite. Don't just sit around. We've both worked with tons of creatives where it's like, man, I just wish I had a community of people to create with. It's like, well, have you ever asked anybody? Well, no. I mean, I feel like I've been at this church for 5 years. I feel like it's 5 years past due when I should be invited, to do something. It's like, well, have you ever like sent a text? You ever like offered to buy someone coffee? And, be the first to invite. So Jordan, take us on that one.
There's probably a lot to say about it, but I won't harp on it. Being the first to invite. I was thinking about this the other day, even in regards to friendship. I was talking to my wife about this, like in regards to friendship, and someone was giving advice, top 3 things on what to do on how to navigate friendships when you get older. I'm not like super old, but 35, 2 kids, about to have another one in 4 weeks. It's like friendship is more challenging. And I never realized in friendship, maybe you could say that this is a little petty, but I think sometimes you like in trying to figure out who's for me, who am I running with in this season? I feel lonely. I want this, I want that, whatever. Sometimes we, out of desire, we want to be pursued so bad that we just never go first. And you realize that everyone's busy, like the moment I knew that I was older was when I was scheduling time with a friend to hang out, and they were like, okay, cool. So what do you guys think about next month? And I was like, what? Next month? But then but then you put it in the calendar and it's there, and it's not any different, I think, with creativity when it comes to finding community. You just have to go first. And the reality is like, even when I think about me and your friendship, man, like we came from the same ministry background ish. We did the same thing in regards to worship leading, songwriting, all that stuff. But more than anything, we just found ourselves in the same place almost every morning, drinking coffee, finding out that really it was our love for coffee that caused us to go back to the same environment. And it was over just communication, moment after moment after moment, where that's what led us here today. It actually wasn't about worship leading. It actually wasn't about even creativity. It was just about being able to connect and find that there were like mutual, like, desires and obviously how we like our personalities and whatever, right? Entrepreneurship, all that other stuff that you would have thought that we would have bonded over the thing that we had both done for 15, 25 years. But it actually wasn't. And that's what was cool. But it took time and it took consistency to build that and to have those conversations. So going first, man, I think you have to just like get over your ego, get over your fear.
Yeah.
and let go of the expectation of this needs to be something that immediately runs deep, that this needs to be something that's going to go the distance. That's just not how it works.
Yep.
And and I understand that our time is valuable and all those things, but listen, if you're someone who is just looking for, you're struggling, you don't even know how to be able to get in rooms to find if we have shared purpose. You don't even know what it means to be able to pursue going where creatives are. It's like, you have to just go first. That's it.
Yep.
So I could harp on that, but it's just like, get over yourself and go first.
You said it, like that was going to be my next question. Like, why would someone not want to? And you said it in paralleling it to friendship is a great thought. The fear of being rejected. Like,
Yes.
no, I don't have time for coffee. Which again, if you're talking to somebody who has their life in order and they, want to have margin and space in their life, then, there's all kinds of influencers and guys who train on this out there of like, no is one of the most powerful things you can ever say.
Yes.
So as we're talking about this, it's like, be the first to initiate. It's like, well, that's a really, if the person's an influential person or they're very busy and they're busy because you follow them on Instagram, it's like, oh my God, they're doing this or traveling, their business, their ministry, whatever it is. Like, what if they say no? What if I meet with them and it's just like super god awful awkward? What if they reject me, and their time is valuable. My time is valuable. Is it really going to be worth, is that person really all that? Do I really want to like take 2 hours and have coffee with them, and you're talking to your spouse about it? It's like, it's 2 hours of your life. I get time is valuable, but if you're looking for a creative community, you have to take risk.
You do. And it
Be
can't,
the first to initiate.
it can't, yeah. Like you got to move away from, you got to deal with the fears. You got to deal with the rejection. You got to deal with the insecurity, and you got to have a greater goal than just like, does this affirm me? I mean, that's just, we're getting into locker room coach talk a little bit,
really good.
But like, if it's just about you, it's going to wound you, but probably it's going to wound you because you've already been wounded. And so it's like, that's the only reason that there's like that level of like hesitation or insecurity.
So good, bro.
And so it's like, yeah, they may say no. Great. Also, there's going to be days where you need to say no. Great. Do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean never. It just like, not right now. Or like, sure, the conversation went bad, but guess what? Like, or not bad. Maybe it just is like, yeah, that didn't land the way I thought it was. And that's okay. Because you're just never going to know, so.
And we've said this before in conversation, I think even on the podcast. I had a counselor one time I was talking to, and he was in his late 50s or early 60s. And he said to me, Justin, do not assume that you will have friends in your late 50s and 60s. Like, don't assume that.
Yeah,
when you're young, you're in community with people, you have a great church or a ministry you're part of. Like, oh man, I like all these friends. When in actuality, you have a bunch of acquaintances that when they move cross country or across the world, you lose touch, whatever it is. So he said, work hard now. And he was challenging me personally. He was challenging me and my wife as a couple. Like, who are the couples that you guys hang out with that when you call, they're going to pick up the phone? Like, we live in such a culture of text communication, and, depending on personality or whatever, you get quote unquote ghosted, people are horrible at responding to text, and some of that's personality. Some of it's just people are busy or whatever. Once the little, dot goes away on your text, I get it, that it's like, oh man, I completely forgot. Right. Well, it doesn't mean that you're not valuable to me. It's just like, it went down in the text or whatever. Everyone has a different placement of where that's at, but who is the friend that's going to pick up that phone when I call and I need prayer, or I have a great idea I want to, run by them, whatever. And so be the first to initiate and do that, which is the fourth point. Go deep with a few. Very young in my career, I felt like I needed like 50 or 40 or 25 people in my creative swirl. And it's really, really hard to have depth with that many fellow creatives. Find a few people, 2, 4, 6, whatever, that you can really, really go deep with. And again, you need to have the same vision and values. So as a creatives, Jesus needs to be first. As Christian creatives, Jesus needs to be first. The person probably has to have a desire to grow in excellence and want to grow. And they want to give and not just take. Those are the people, in my opinion. It's like, well, who do I go deep with? If you're being challenged by them, you're not just, doing all the challenging. There's a give and take on that. They're challenging you as well. Not saying, I'm not sure if any one of my entrepreneurial friends, you included, have ever said, Justin, I just want to challenge you right now. So get out your pen. I'm going to challenge you. It's like, that's weird and awkward. You don't need to say that, you just do it. It's just who you
Yeah.
are. And a lot of times challenging is affirming the idea that your friend had and one-upping it. And I remember I was talking to a friend of mine about an event I was doing, a very large event. And they said, dude, that's incredible. What if you do this as well? And I literally got out my pen and paper and was taking notes. So go deep with a few. Fifth one here, Jordan, I'm going to lob this back to you. Commit even when it's inconvenient. If you're listening to this, you're a singer, musician, worship leader, songwriter, whatever it is, tell me when it will be convenient for you to pursue your creative journey. Tell me when it will be convenient to go buy a business. Tell me when it'll be convenient to start a business from scratch online or whatever it is, right? There's never going to be a convenient time. Well, if you're on this side of it and you're married with a couple of kids, but if you're not, then that's the time. But like back when you're single was the convenient time. But now you're married with kids or life has happened, whatever it is, like there's never going to be a convenient time. So commit even when it's inconvenient. Jordan, talk to us about that.
We, we hit a thread on this in a previous episode, but I think you were asking me about, I think I had said something real firm, like I don't believe in writer's block or something that, which got us into the conversation around like creative resilience and discipline. And it's easy to look at it, as like a father, husband, 3 kids. There's nothing about life that feels convenient. And I guess it depends on if we're talking about if we're talking about creativity, if we're talking about songwriting, if we're talking about the current state of how you are. This circles back to the thing we talked about a couple points ago, where it's like sometimes what feels inconvenient is how like the condition of our current state, whether it's mental, emotional, I'm going to wait until circumstances really align themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's where sometimes let's say we're talking to people who aren't married with kids. Well, inconvenience might also be might look like, back to the insecurity thing. I'm not where I need to be. It takes too much effort to try and do this. I don't want to deal with the emotional toll of this. I do not want to figure out how to get money I don't want to do it until I get the money for this. I don't want to build a career until I can launch a successful $8 million Kickstarter and then launch my thing. I only have a phone and a guitar. I'll go on and on, dude. You know what I mean? I don't have a website for my business. It's like, bro, I left ministry cold turkey, no money, no website, no Instagram, started telling the story. We turned $100,000 in less than 12 months. Nothing was convenient, Justin. Not one thing. You were there. You watched it. Yep. You watched me trying to do 5 different brand ideas, what can work, what's going to stick, until I was put literally into the environment of inconvenience. I mean, there was nothing convenient, about it. And it was just back to our previous episode, but it was we just had to move. So anyways, man, to learn to commit, I think you have to have vision. I think you have to know what you're shooting for. I think that if you do not have that, then it makes it hard. Again, I was a white belt who wanted to be a black belt. I saw what was before me and I saw what was laid out, and I was able to commit to that because I had a vision which informed the purpose as to why I even chose to commit in the first place. So it didn't matter if it was hard. It didn't matter if I was going through a valley, a this, a that, or whatever. There was vision there. And so commitment I will say this, commitment can't just always be I just drudged through it. For what is it unto? If you can't communicate, then where you're headed, I mean, you talk about this all the time. It's you're not gonna, you have a vision in Firelight Creative, for instance. You know what I mean? You have a mission. There's a reason as to why you assume risk. There's a reason as to why, you know what I mean? Like you invest financially, time, why
Yeah.
you do the things that you do. And I know that that sounds really like simple, but if I think a lot of creatives, entrepreneurs, whatever, it does get easy to throw ourselves out there and become so disillusioned to the thing that we don't even know why we're committing, and
Yeah.
that ends up becoming something that becomes an annoyance to people because it's like commit, and it sounds just like a locker room talk where we're just trying to do like empty motivation, but we do
Yeah.
like we have to understand like why and how we apply discipline and
Yeah.
why we make the choices that we make every single day to show up. And so anyways, yeah, life is not convenient. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if there's a convenient time. I'm
Yeah.
trying to find it. If someone has it, holler at me. But
Yeah.
anyhow,
I,
there you have it.
I, I've come to realize I don't think there will never be a convenient time to build something that actually matters. There will never be a convenient time to build something that actually matters. And when you think about it, if things are convenient, it births sitting on the couch. If things are convenient, it births lethargy and more sloth, not legacy. So in actuality, in my opinion, School of Hard Knocks here, and if you're a business owner or someone who's produced something, written a book or whatever it is, like there was nothing convenient about that. But now you've stewarded something for the kingdom of heaven, and you begin to that legacy drive in you is like, no, I'm doing this for my kids or for my nieces or nephews or for this these hundreds or billions of people, whatever it is, whatever scale you're at. um, we're called to do it, and convenience it'll never be a convenient time to do something that's meaningful and long lasting, because if things are convenient, at least in my life, I can just really, really easy get into kind of a slothful
I just think
mindset.
I think it exposes motive, man. Like if the goal is to pursue convenience, then
Yeah.
we're not. What are we really trying to do? You
Mm,
know.
it's good.
Yeah. So, anyways,
It's really good.
cool. All right.
And two verses on this, Galatians 6 verse 9.
Mm.
Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And on that verse, I love saying this to people because, I grew up, hearing about Galatians chapter 6 and, God will not be mocked. Whatever a man does, he's going to reap. So if you do this in the secret place, you're going to reap this. If you sin, you're going to reap sin or whatever, destruction. And that is true. But the same is also true on the side of like, if you sow in your creativity, if you sow, whatever it is, you're going to reap the good as well. That's Galatians 6 verse 9. And then Luke 16 verse 10, whoever is faithful with little
Yep.
will be given much. And I
Yep.
love that so much.
That's good.
Sixth way, be the kind of creative that you want to attract. Be the kind of creative that you want to attract. So championing other people's works, that can look as simple as, commenting on social media on someone's, song that they released. And you're like, you might be tempted to have like, man, I wish that was me who released that song, or that person's released like 25 songs and I've released like 0 in the last 2 years. Right. And it's like, if you give into that jealousy and the envy of the comparison game, it's not going to end well for you. But if you give a comment, you're like, you know what, this is actually like a really, really solid song. Be the kind of creative that you want to be. Give honest, life-giving feedback. This is huge, Jordan, for you and I in our life. If you want to comment on this here in a second, like if I share, whether it's a song, a book idea, a business idea, an idea for my online community, whatever it is, and you don't do this, which is why we're good friends, but it's like, hey man, that's cool, dude, love that. Hey, I've been thinking about an idea for this. It's like I don't just want someone to like stamp my ideas and say, dude, you're awesome, man. And then you just pivot the conversation. Be the kind of creative you want to be. Like,
Yeah,
I
dude.
actually, hey, dude, have you thought, is that like the wisest idea? Hey, I love and respect you. And you say this to me, I say this to you all the time. I feel like there's this mutual respect of like, hey, you're smart. I'm not saying you're dumb, but have you thought of pivoting this way. So be the kind of creative you want to be. You know why? Because it's going to attract that person, that creative person, to say, Justin didn't just give me the run of the mill, like, oh yeah, man, great song, bro. Great job. Make it on Spotify. It's going to be a hit. Man, you said the last 6 songs I sent you, like, are you even listening to the songs? Do you even care about me? Creatives want to be challenged by other creatives to do better work. Jordan, I know you have a lot of thoughts on that.
I mean, you nailed it, dude. Like we have to welcome we have like that's the beauty of collaboration at the end of the day. I
How are
learned a
you not
long
offended though when someone, when I or whoever says, dude, that's cool, have you thought of this, like
because it's
in
just not about because it's not about me, dude. Like I learned this in songwriting a long time ago. The goal was never about trying to like needing people to obsess and glorify over how cool my idea was. I want to make the greatest impact. I want this to be the best piece of work, art, idea that it possibly can be. And
mm,
the only way to do that is to be like that. I mean, that's just like creation 101. Even
mm,
all of create all the whole universe and all that was made was not even done through one isolated expression. There was collaboration from the beginning. And so it's like it's hard, but again, it goes back to like how deep do we want to talk about like our emotional state and how well we are. Like if we need this to sign off on our validity, if we need this to tell us how good we are, how cool we are because we were shut down when we were kids or shut down creatively, it's like we need to get healed from that. But at the end of the
mm,
day, if we want to make impact, it has to be in service of others. And our 100% isolated ideas they're not always the things that like need like so when I present something to you or like when you present something to me, like sometimes we have to get out of our own way because no, I don't care how disciplined, strategic minded, ideated, whatever any person is, we will always be precious about our ideas. And so we'll always be a little blinded, always.
mm. Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I truly believe that. And that's why I think being able to run it against somebody who can like see it does not mean that like to help you think differently, to help you like be reminded of what is the goal and the intent and the reason as to why we're doing this, what is the purpose of this particular idea, you know and are we losing the part of it where it's in service of others and embracing the part of it where it helps us feel good about ourselves because we
yeah,
did something that people thought was cool. And for a dude even like me who's lived the majority of his life using my giftings and performance as survival, I've had to learn to really like have that crushed in my life. And
mm,
so I think you don't get offended by actually healing the parts of that are looking for it to affirm you and directing all of that effort and attention toward how can this be the greatest thing to impact others. And
yeah,
that's how we allow others to come in and speak into it without us having to get our feelings hurt about it. But I'm telling you, man, like I'm not trying to go into therapy here. I'm just saying like if we got crushed as kids because we didn't get chosen because our idea didn't win the science fair because of all of these, you know what I mean, like, and we don't know how to redirect that into something positive, then we'll be chasing that validity and affirmation even into all of this,
mm,
and that becomes really really detrimental because for anyone who's a creative, anyone who's trying to build something, anyone who's trying to take risk, anyone who's trying to collaborate, golly, it just makes it so hard because it's hard to greenlight session if someone says, "Oh, that's not it," and it's like, "Okay, cool, yeah, that's probably yeah, cool," like, "Okay, that's not it." Okay, cool, man, like. And
yeah,
so I love that about like our dynamic and relationship. You know what I mean? It's just like it's an honor, dude, to be able to like I'm like I want this to be ripped apart. Does this suck?
yeah, totally,
No, man. Like this isn't about me, bro. I'm
yeah,
so grateful that I
yeah,
can steward it. I literally had this idea with Godly Folk yesterday. I invited 3 other people into the room, and I said, like, I want this to be the best that it could possibly be for the community.
yeah,
I want this to be a legacy brand. Like, this is not
yeah,
about me having all of the greatest ideas. I could care less about that.
yeah,
So, anyways, man, yeah,
absolutely,
that's just
absolutely.
some of my pennies there.
And on that's I mean, songwriting side of things, you mentioned it, if you're in co-writing session, if you hold on to your idea like it's your little baby, like I was just church brought me in to do some songwriting, and we wrote a lot of songs in a very very short amount of time, and everyone in the room was um very very aware that our ideas are not our babies. Like we're throwing things out there, we're trying to be a vessel the Lord can just flow through. And, man, like, I love that idea. Oh man, I'm not a fan of that idea. Whatever it is, just open, honest communication. On my production company, Firelight Creative, and when you're doing a movie and there's 90 to 100 people involved in making this movie, obviously you have the vision. You have to make sure the vision's clear. Jeff Bezos, I quote it all the time. He's like, I am stubborn on vision. I'm incredibly flexible on the details of how we accomplish that vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on a film set or a pre-production, post-production, on the on-set, whatever it is, like, yeah, the vision's clear, but you have to be open. I have to be open to those 90 to 100 people and their ideas to make this thing the best possible film we can do, And if I'm holding on to, like, no, like, I'm the director of this thing, I'm the one who's doing it, I'm the producer, I'm forking over all this money and raising it. It's going to be my way or the highway. Not going to be a very good film, and that person's not going to work with me, and just begins to, you guys get what I'm saying here.
It's why greenlight sessions are so important when you're beginning creative like efforts.
What's a greenlight session?
Yeah, so like if we were to get into a room, we can use songwriting as an example or whatever, or let's just use like a creative project, right? It's like if you get on the whiteboard and it's like, okay, guys, 15 minutes, green light, go. Anything goes, and it gets accounted for. And so it's not about trying to crack the code, get to the end of it, whatever. It's that all 5 people in the room, we're just ideating, and it's green light. Because I will say, sometimes what happens is when we're doing it in sequence and it's linear like this, we hyper focus on what serves this thing right here versus someone's idea that might end up influencing something down here. And so I've found that greenlight sessions are really, really beautiful because, one, it gives everyone the opportunity to just ideate freely with no judgment. So one, it encourages them, whether they're mature in it or immature in it. First of all, it builds culture. But second is you actually do get the full breadth of ideation laid out on the board or on paper. And then you guys get to then like spider web and see what really stands out. And so that's why I think that that's really beautiful, especially with sometimes that can be hard with songwriting because oftentimes we are looking at it like sequentially or like linear, And so it's like whether we're building a chorus or we're looking for a word or whatever, but you just never know. And I remember like doing big writes, like me and my wife's first time doing, a writer's weekend in Nashville was just so powerful because I'll just never forget, like we wrote some of the best songs ever. And it was because we were sitting in a room with some of the best songwriters and like our ideas were coming to life in ways that we could have never done it on our own. And I remember one song, it probably would have felt like one of the simplest songs, but man, like we had like 8 writers on that thing. And it was so beautiful to see it because where one person felt stuck, the next person could pick it up. And it just like, there was never a dull, lull moment in the entire session. And so it was just beautiful. So yeah, man, I mean, I don't care what you're doing. Like, I think the tool of green lighting is really powerful because everyone gets an opportunity to like, you build culture within your team that all ideas are valuable. Not all ideas will be useful.
Yeah.
So contribution needs to be honored. So that's more of a leadership thing, but contribution needs to be like honored and like there needs to be room for that.
Yeah.
Or else people get stuck. So.
Yeah. I love that. And I'm not a Beyonce expert by any means, just so my listeners are clear on that. But I read a book years ago called Real Artists Don't Starve. And Jeff Goins, the author of that book, gave a stat in there. It's all about creativity and everything. And I think it's the Renaissance album that she did. I think there's like over 100 credited writers on the album. I'm not sure how many songs are on there, but I think it was an average of like 10 writers per song. You and I are both songwriters. I've never had more than probably like maybe 5. And that's because there was different iterations and we brought in different writers to maybe close it out, But again, I'm not a Beyonce expert. I have no idea why. I'm not saying that like, well, she understands you need collaborative community. So she gets 100, probably not the reason, but it's just super interesting to me as a creative, as a songwriter to say, man, if she has that, like, what are we doing trying to, this is my idea, no more than 2 writers, I need my 50% of royalties. It's like, what are we doing here?
Last thing I'll say on that topic is I just think that what you start to see is that when we talked about zone of genius today, when you know what your strength is then you will rally other people who match your strength in what they do to be able
100%.
to bring that thing to life. And
Yep.
so
100%.
I love writing, but my strength is vocal performance.
Mm.
Like I know that all day long. So like if I could show up as an artist knowing that like I contributed to how I wanted the production to feel, how I wanted this to feel, that's cool. But I'm a live performer. Like that's my
Yep.
bread and butter through and through. But I'm a
Yep.
studio vocalist all day. And more specifically, like I'm a vocal producer. So it's like that's my lane. And so
Yep.
one of the greatest things, even as my wife and I have been kind of like low key talking about coming back and writing and creating, it's like we're going into it knowing how we can be more effective to do the thing that we actually love to do and get the right people in the room. So that's also a part of, I think, like when I think about a Beyonce or I think about other people who have like, they're like, what benefit? Like, because again, bro, their goal, I get that there's money and business in it, but I guarantee they go to the board. And I feel like if we were to write anything on the top of the board, it's who needs to be in the room to make this the best end result and most
Sure.
impactful it can be. If you
Yep.
are not showing up to a session of any kind to do that, if at the top of your board is how acknowledged can I become, then you're
Yep.
missing the entire thing.
Totally.
Yeah, dude. So
I love that.
boom.
So you guys may have heard these 6 points of how to find and build a creative community and be like, maybe a couple of them have helped you a little bit, but you're still like, man, I just don't know. I don't see it for me. I don't see the clear path. No one's come to mind during this podcast yet. If the person I can like text or whatever, if it has, that's great. But if not, then this 7th and final point is for you. And really, this probably should have been like the first point that we said, but it is pray.
Yeah.
And pray specific prayers. It's mind-boggling to me. I followed Jesus since I was 7 years old, and it's mind-boggling how much in between my ears I live and stay, and I don't take it upstairs. I
Yeah,
don't
dude.
ask the Lord specific
Oh,
prayers
man.
about my music, songwriting, productions, films, musicals, businesses, coaching, whatever it is, all the things that I'm doing, family, like specific prayers for my children, specific Bible verses for my children, for my wife, for my marriage, for my friendships, for my businesses, whatever it is. And so literally pray this: God, bring me into creative spaces and friendships that stretch me and glorify you.
Mm.
I'll say that again. God, bring me into creative spaces and friendships that stretch me and glorify you. No comfort in that prayer at all. That prayer is kind of a dangerous prayer. Because if he brings, this person into your world tomorrow, today, next week, after you pray this prayer, you might have to overcome some of your fear or awkwardness or rejection issues to actually have this prayer be fulfilled.
Yes.
And to walk it out. Trust that God is already positioning someone close to you. They may have not been named yet, but they're going to be a creative partner and just, in the realm of creativity. So pray specific prayers. Any final thoughts, Jordan, before we close it out?
Just have courage. Like as simple as that is, I think all of this, as we've gone through 1 through 7, even to be frank with you, even the prayer part takes courage, because we know that as we extend ourselves to the Lord and ask, He will meet us with opportunity to have to be courageous to step out of what's comfortable.
I love that.
And focus. I want you to focus more on the impact that you desire to make, so that it can overwhelm and overcome the insecurity you might feel.
That's really good.
Yeah. So just
that.
take courage.
Love that.
Yeah.
Jordan, thanks for your thoughts, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully this was encouraging to you guys.
It's always a joy.
And again, maybe you guys were challenged, encouraged. Maybe you feel overwhelmed, whatever. But if nothing else, just as we lead you guys to this podcast, take this 7th point and just pray and go to the Lord. Even if you have time, if you're in your car, the gym, wherever, listen to this, just stop it right now and just take a couple of seconds even and just pray. Would be my encouragement to you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate y'all.